Well, you made it. It's Friday afternoon before a nice, fun weekend here. It was a nice short week for you, and well, we have some great stories for you. We have one that's kind of like, oh, here we go again. But then we have another that's a little bit more encouraging. We have one where CBC is looking to sue to keep from information coming out about their CBC GEM program. You know, the app that they said millions of people are watching this, and now they're trying to protect information from getting out. Well, that's kind of odd. We'll be touching that. And number two, well, Liberal Premier of PEI is demanding an RCMP investigation into China buying up all this land in PEI. It is getting serious. Your voices is starting to make things move in politics. Baby, we love to see it. Welcome to the Elevate Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. If you're getting value from today's episode, take the time to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us to grow. It helps us to get to new audiences and helps people see that there is something different than what the mainstream media has to offer. Now, let's get into our first story, shall we? See, we got Blacklock's reporter coming in hot. CBC sues to keep info secret. Oi, what are we doing here? The CBC in a federal court filing says disclosing the number of paid subscribers to its $72 a year GEM streaming video service is too commercially sensitive. MPs have challenged the network to confirm ex-CEO Catherine Tate's public boast that millions of Canadians subscribe. GEM records are commercially sensitive, CBC lawyers wrote the court. Their disclosure could reasonably be expected to prejudice the competitive position of the CBC or interfere with contractual or other negotiations. CBC, they're shameless, aren't they? They're shameless. The CBC operates in the digital programming environment in which other digital broadcasters offer free advertising supported and paid ad-free digital streaming platforms and attract paying subscribers as well as registered users to their respective platforms. Wrote CBC lawyers, they asked that a federal judge quash an order to release the figures under the Access to Information Act. We don't want this information getting out here, folks. This is the issue that's going on. Is they're claiming, oh, look at the BS reasons they're giving here, that it could interfere with contractual or other negotiations and prejudice the competitive position of the CBC. Meaning, oh, we can't keep rigging the market so that we keep getting money. Shoot, people are going to see that no one watches us. This stinks. And we had MP Wah. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, sir, but it's W-A-U-G-H, was asking some questions. Precisely what he was asking was, from the numbers that we're seeing, there's 0.35% of the streaming population in Ontario are registered with CBC GEM. 0.35% of the streaming population. So estimate is what Ontario is, 16.5 million population. They're estimating that the streaming population is closer to like 8 million-ish. And that's like, rough estimate, I would say. So 0.3% of that is roughly about 30,000 subscribers. If MP Wah's numbers are correct, CBC subscribers only in Ontario are maybe 30,000. And that's our most populous province in the country. What's in the other provinces? What, CBC GEM subscribers might total 100,000 subscribers across the country. Last I checked, we're about, 44 million people here? Yikes. Tough luck. We continue. CBC management had boasted it sold millions of GEM subscriptions. Catherine Tate, then CEO, said in testimony last November 25th at the Commons Heritage Committee, the network had a solid number of viewers online. In fact, an increasing number are watching on YouTube on CBC GEM, she said. And then went on to say this. CBC GEM ranks number 2 behind Crave, said Tate. Listen, when we talk about performance today, television is one piece of a very complex multi-platform operation. And this is how they operate, and this is what they do, is they try to keep pulling from other things and ideas of, our numbers are actually bigger than they seem, but we're only behind Crave. Yet you don't want to present the numbers. If you are paid by taxpayers to fund your operation, we should know how many subscribers you currently have. What are you attracting? What's it looking like? We're not just going to take your word that you are number 2 to Crave. The difference with Crave, well, Crave actually publishes the amount of users they have, i.e. Bell. And this year, they saw 4.1 million subscribers. If they have 30,000 just in Ontario, again, we're guesstimating CBC Gem might have 100,000 subscribers. I don't know. I have a hard time believing they're coming second to 4.1 million subscribers from Bell. Just a thought. And then this came out that says other CBC managers offered conflicting testimony. Barbara Williams, then executive vice president, told a 2024 Commons Heritage Committee hearing that Gem viewership for flagship shows like the nightly newscast, The National, were modest. 50,000 watch it on Gem, she said. Far cry from millions, I would say. These are your flagship shows. These are the ones that everyone should be watching, right? Only 50,000? Only 50,000. The numbers are not looking great these days. And the idea that they are looking to essentially quash this freedom of information request on how many subscribers they currently have should tell you a lot about the CBC. This is how the game operates. They talk about subscribers. You even saw, as we saw there, Bell has 4.1 million subscribers on Crave. But again, that's total subscribers. That's not saying those are month-over-month subscribers. That's just total for the year. That's just, if I purchase a subscription for February, that counts in the total number. If you're only a user for a month of the year, they count that in the number. So when it comes to even the 30,000 that potentially use it in Ontario, that's not saying they're paying for it for 12 months a year. Maybe some are buying it for 2 months, 3 months, 2 months, 6. We'd love to know the amount of people who've paid the full year, the $72 for the whole year in Gem subscriptions, because I'm sure it's even lower. Put things in perspective. They said the National sees about 50,000 views. I don't even know if that is, they don't tell us what that is. Is that for on the average of every episode? Or is that per month? That's how they measure Jimmy Kimmel's numbers, where he saw something like, 500,000, whatever it was, 600,000 over the course of a month in views in the key demo. To give you perspective, pull the curtain back a little bit. One of my videos, just one, these days is averaging anywhere between 50 to 75,000 views. That's just one. I make 2 of those a day, meaning I average 100 to 130,000 views a day. Now you multiply that by 30, you get your amount of what you get in a month. CBC's on life support, folks. It's not looking good. And the fact that they are threatening legal action to keep this information from getting out shows that, man, should our tax dollars really be going to this? Why are we subsidizing this dying station who doesn't even do what they claim that they're doing? Being objective journalists just trying to get to the bottom of what is happening in our country. They don't even do that. They instead get into committee and lie about their millions of subscribers. And then when they're asked about getting the actual numbers, they say, "Oh, you can't do that. You're not allowed. It's going to undermine some of the work that we're doing here." Yet the private company like Bell can publish that information on a quarterly basis. Yep, something weird is going on, folks. Something is weird, but I move on because this is very fascinating news. I think it was last Friday, we talked about PEI, talked about how China has been working a very complex scheme of holding companies, corporations, networking them all together to buy up as much land in PEI as possible through a Buddhist temple that is there. The people that were investigating this are not saying that the Buddhist temple necessarily knew that this was happening. However, they do feel like they were used as a vehicle by the CCP to acquire Canadian land and cause chaos in our country. And this was fascinating. Liberal Premier from PEI says, calls for investigation of foreign interference and money laundering in PEI. The Premier has written letters to the RCMP and to a federal anti-money laundering agency asking them both to look into the allegations. In the letters, Lance says his province is concerned about the allegations that the province has been used as an operating base for the Chinese Communist Party. While the two Buddhist groups have been a source of public speculation and uncertainty over several years, he said comments made by a former Solicitor General of Canada and former RCMP superintendent in Ottawa in early October have reignited the issue. It was suggested that information exists that would provide grounds for a criminal investigation, he said in a letter to federal RCMP Commissioner Mike Duhem. Equally troubling are suggestions made by same individuals that Prince Edward Island has been used as a forward operating base for the Chinese Communist Party. These are serious allegations. Claims of clandestine foreign interference must be examined by the relevant federal government departments and agencies and through established legal processes rather than through speculation, he said. Well, guess what? The RCMP did not respond to a request for comment on whether it would undertake the investigation or what the next steps would be. Obviously, this book dropping, Canada Under Siege by Gary Clement, Michael Katsua, and Dean Baxendale, really got the people going. From what we're seeing, it was a well thought out book. I'm still waiting to read it myself and seeing what's been going on, what is happening. And this coupled with people talking on the ground in PEI, people trying to raise the alarm bell of what is happening, what has been going on, has forced a liberal premier to say, hey, RCMP, investigate this immediately. It makes me think back to the interview that we had with Mayor Brad West saying things typically don't happen in politics unless there's a fire lit under the politician's booty hole. He didn't say those words, but that's what more or less, that's what he was saying. And this is that exact same example. A lot of noise was made. A great book was put together by it due to people on the ground talking about it, forcing the government to now have to do something about it and put pressure now on the RCMP to look into it, which we talked about this week. The faith in the RCMP is almost pretty much at an all-time low these days. They said about only 50% of the country actually trusts the RCMP now. But this is fantastic news. And what is even more interesting news is the end of this article is that the leader of the Green Party in PEI was getting real loud about this. Matthew McFarlane, a member of PEI's Green Party, said it is about time that allegations of foreign interference and money laundering connected to Buddhist organizations or operating in PEI are investigated. The government's letters to the RCMP and Financial Transactions and Reports and Analysis Center of Canada are just one step, McFarlane said in a statement, and this step alone is not going to be good enough. And I agree with that as well. It is not going to be good enough. We need to keep putting the pressure on this story in general. But this is a positive direction that now you got the attention of the politicians down there. And we're going to want to start seeing what politicians were involved with this throughout the years and who is making money in the process. But let's end on a positive note. Let's have some fun, shall we? We had the mayoral New York City debates last night, and that was wild to watch. I only saw a few clips, but the questions they were asking were, well, I guess it's New York City. It's absolute chaos over there. But we all have heard the name Mamdani, who is literally a communist who's running to be mayor of New York City. And the question was asked them, have you ever smoked the weed? And here are the answers, man. And wait for the final one. It's chaotic. This is crazy.
Have you ever purchased anything in a cannabis shop? And if so, what did you buy, Mr. Mamdani?
I have. I have purchased marijuana at a legal cannabis shop.
Okay. Mr. Cuomo?
No.
Mr. Sliwa?
When I was shot 5 times, I've had Crohn's disease. I did use medical marijuana. Yes.
Okay.
What are we doing here? That was a crazy... Can we replay that? That was a crazy answer.
Mr. Sliwa?
When I was shot 5 times, I've had Crohn's disease. I did use medical marijuana. Yeah.
I was shot 5 times. I have Crohn's disease, so I have used medical marijuana. This kind of just got glossed over. I was just like, all the conversation was about Mamdani admitting that he smoked weed, which was like, whatever. That was a crazy answer. I've been shot 5 times. This man's 50 Cent over here, bro. Many men wish death upon me. It was holy jumping. I was dying. I was like, okay, well, that was something else. But let's end off with something a little bit lighter. You know, those who are watching the Blue Jays, love you guys to death. You guys are fantastic. However, a Seattle radio station was not too happy with the fact that Vancouver people from BC were traveling to Seattle to watch the Blue Jays lay a smackdown on the Mariners and, well, making a joke of their whole team. Because, well, their stadium is typically made up of 40% Blue Jays fans, in both games, and they're not too happy about it, and, well, it shows here.
Let me ask you a question. Is every Canadian dipstick up there rooting for Toronto in this series, or do we have any Mariner fans north of the border?
I knew this question was coming, and it is.
Well, let's just get to it already, because I'm in no mood.
I know you're in no mood. I get it.
After last night, I don't want to hear your nonsense. I don't want to hear your Blue Jay BS, okay? I had to sit next to some douchebag last night, literally in the stands, grown man, and I will send you the picture to prove it, wearing full Blue Jays uniform, pants, jersey, hat backwards. The only thing he was missing was a cup and a jock strap for his little Canadian balls and eye black. All right? That's the only thing he was missing. So,
Softy, we brought you on to talk about the Kraken.
Toronto. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Right, what are we doing?
They're a little frustrated over there of how much the Blue Jays fans have been taken over. Let's continue to do that again tonight. We love to see it. But folks, enjoy your weekend. The Friday is here. Life is good. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out.